Hey guys, in today's From the Install Bay, we're going to show you Pac-Audio's new pre-programmed steering wheel control interface. That's right, with this one, it's real easy to install. So check it out. So the first thing you want to do is download the app to your phone. So go to your phone's app store and search Pac-Audio and find the one that says Control Pro. Alright, so once you launch the app, you're going to go ahead and answer a few questions. Select the vehicle. In this case, we're working on a Nissan. Select what Nissan. We have a Murano. Select the year. Select no options. Select manufacturer of the radio. The customer brought in a JVC. Select next. And then it's going to say set the dip switches on the Control Pro as shown. Click OK. So now you're going to have this. So now what we want to do is we want to open the Control Pro. Alright, so we got the box here. Let's go ahead and get this thing out. It comes with some instructions. Go ahead and just set those aside. For the most part, you're not going to need them. It has two harnesses. One that's going to connect to your radio so you can control the radio. And then the second one is your power plug and integration harness. And then you have the unit, which is right here. As you can see on the unit, it has dip switches. Alright, so what we want to do is match up the dip switches. So what we want to do is flick the white dip switches so they look like this. So in this case, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8 are all up. Let's go ahead and copy that. And then in this one, all but 2 are up. So now what we've done is told it that we're putting it in a Nissan, and then we're hooking it up to a JVC. These will fluctuate depending on what you're trying to do. And as you can see here where it says Nissan Murano, type of radio. If this said Pioneer, these would be different. And if this was, let's say, a Dodge, these would be different. So don't set them to my settings, set them to your settings. And then select next. Now what it's going to do is give us the wire configuration and the harnesses that we need to connect. So if you go ahead and scroll up, you're going to see you need power, battery, and accessory. So if you're putting in an aftermarket harness, the aftermarket harness as well as the aftermarket radio are going to have these 3 colors, which are black, yellow, and red. So you're going to connect those to the same place you're connecting your aftermarket radio to, black, yellow, and red. Next is going to be the actual steering wheel wires that we need to tap into. In this case, we're going to use black, we're going to use white, and we're going to use white, black, and we're going to connect them to the corresponding colors. This is the harness. So most installs are going to give you something very similar to this to attach. So now what we want to do is we want to take the harness, and we want to remove the wiring that we're not going to use. That way we don't get confused or grab something, you know, because there's 3 white wires here. Okay, and that can add to all kinds of heartache. So we'll go ahead, and we know we're going to need white, black. We know we're going to need white. We know we're going to need red and black. We know we're going to need yellow. Go ahead, pull those all over. So there should be 6 wires over here, and we have 6 wires. So now what we want to do is just remove the ones we're not going to use. Some of you, if you just want to cut them off, you can do that too, just in case. I like to remove them, personal preference. So in this case, we're doing a JVC, which is going to require the blue-yellow wire and not the 1/8 inch. So you could go ahead and either remove it and or just zip tie it up like this. So that it's out of the way. Now what I like to do is divide the wires into groups. So the ones that are going to go behind the radio and the ones that are going to go into the car. And then twist those up and prep them for the car. Alright, so let's go ahead and hook up the red, yellow, and black. I like to solder them in close to the harness because that way they can, the remaining wires are closer to their harness. Here's the blue-yellow. Not to be confused with the blue-white. We're going to want to connect that to these two together. So we'll go ahead and finish putting this wiring harness together and get it into the car. Okay, so what we have is a 16-pin plug, and we want to find these colors. So we've located the 16-pin plug in this car. So we're going to go ahead and remove the sheeting. And according to this, we have a black in the 14 spot. I'm sorry, black, white in the 14 spot, a red in the 12 spot, and a green in the 13 spot. So that's going to be these three wires right here. Alright, so we'll go ahead and strip back these wires. Some of you in our previous video we had cut, so in this case we'll do the different. So we'll be like, do I have to cut? Do I have to cut? No, you don't have to cut. You can just strip the wire back and solder if you'd like. So green goes to black, white, and black, white goes to black, and the red wire goes to white. All right, we'll go ahead and put some solder on these and test it out. All right, so we're back to factory. We'll go ahead and plug in our wiring harness. So that's going to provide power for the radio and the CP2. All right, so let's make sure this thing powers up. All right, let's do it again. We got a red, we're good. Let's go ahead and hit the buttons. Flash is green, flash is green, flash is green, flash is green. Okay, so that means that every button is responding. At this point, we may want to reprogram these. In order to do that, you have a button on the side here. If you go to the instruction manual and pick the radio you have, you can choose the operations for them to do simply by pressing this button and then hitting the corresponding button. The whole nice thing about this unit is you don't have to do that. It's already pre-programmed for the basic operations. So like in this one, we have volume up, down, track up, down, mode, and power. So it will do those. So now all we have to do is plug the JVC radio back in. We'll test them again just to make sure, and then we'll button this thing back up and send it on its way. Okay, so we've gone ahead and mounted the bezel in. We haven't put all the trim pieces on yet because we just want to do one final check to make sure. So we got volume. That works. We're going to go ahead and go to mode. It's going to switch between all our sources. We'll go back to radio. We'll turn it up a little bit. We'll hit the power, which in this case happens to be mute. We'll go ahead and then we'll change the channel. It seems to be doing that just fine. We'll change it back. Alright. Alright guys, this is the new CP2 steering wheel control interface from Pac-Audio. If you want to learn more about it, go ahead and visit their website. We'll put a link to it in the show notes. If you like us, please subscribe. We really appreciate it. Otherwise, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. You guys have a great night. We'll see you next time. Bye.